At the end of January, I put out a track that I mainly composed on my modular synth. And to celebrate, I wanted to put out a YouTube video going over some of my patch tricks. Some of these tricks ended up in the track. Some of them are just other random little tidbits that I thought would be useful, and I often incorporate them into my own patching. So I hope to create a series of these because I have quite a bit more random little tidbits and helpful things for creatively exploring modular. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the first patch. In this trick, I'm expanding on the glitch and stutter effects that you can achieve with phase-locked loopers, like the ones found in Clouds, 2HP Freeze, or the Qubit Data Bender. A phase-locked looper is a small buffer of audio that, when triggered, will loop the contents of the buffer while the gate is high. In this example, I'm playing a breakbeat sample into the 2HP Freeze, which is receiving a gate into the freeze input from the gate output of the light strip. The audio then goes to a channel of blades, which I'm using as a low-pass filter. I'm multing the gate out of the light strip and sending it to the after-later audio tilt, which is an ADSR envelope that I've set the sustain level to maximum. Then I'm taking the output of the envelope and inverting it, and sending that to the filter's cutoff, so it pulls the cutoff down when the freeze input is activated, creating this interesting effect. If you are out of filters in your system, you can achieve a similar effect with just a simple VCA. You won't have the reduction in high frequency content, so it will be a different effect, but definitely very similar. I like this effect because it sounds very natural having a filter being cut down like that, almost like an object is moving away from you. You can use this as a transition effect to mute some drums in a creative way rather than just turning them off. It can also be just an interesting performance tool, performance trick with your patches. So yeah, go ahead and give it a try. If you're working in a 4-on-the-floor beat in modular and you want that driving, pumping feel, but you don't want to have to deal with the plugins or compressors in your DAW, you can fake that sidechain compression ducking effect with some pretty basic modules. In this example, I have Platts providing steady 4-on-the-floor kick drum and Plinky giving us a chord drum. I'm multing the trigger of the kick into the envelope, then I'm inverting that envelope and mixing it with a positive offset voltage with the mix switch, and then sending that to one of the VCA channels that Plinky's audio is running through. Depending on what type of VCAs you have in your system, the mixing stage might not be necessary. In my case, since the dope for Octal VCA gives no offset controls, I have to create my own. With this trick, it helps to have an envelope with adjustable response curves so that you can dial in just the right amount of pumping for your patch and have the shapes be just right. This type of effect can definitely be overdone, but there really isn't a whole lot else that gives us that driving and pumping feel. And to be able to have that without running to your DAW is very helpful sometimes. So yeah, go ahead and give it a shot. Hopefully it's useful for you. One of my favorite tricks with delays is to clock them with a broken or shifting clock to create a rhythmic variation in the delay. It can take a static sequence that will grow stale quickly into something with a bit more depth. In this example, I'm using Kara, which is a Mutable Instruments Marbles clone, as a master clock to sequence plats, as well as give us the shifting broken clocks for the delay. The delay in this patch is the Disting Mark IV's clockable delay algorithm. In this patch, I'm using the mix switch to switch between a steady clock and a random shifting clock that is always a random division of the master clock, so that the repeats of the delay are always still related to the steady rhythm. Since the disting is a non-pitch shifting delay, we aren't getting the whipping pitch sounds that you get from tape style effects. This can also be an interesting effect when you're using the pitch style delays instead of the digital style delays like the ones in this patch. Experiment with clocking your delays with shifting clock patterns. One of my favorite ways to expand on this trick is to clock the delay module with a gate sequencer. That way you can punch in notes that don't exactly fit on a musical grid, and that will create interesting rhythmic patterns within the delay that's an interplay between the delay's clock division and the repeating gate sequence. That way, patterns within the delay repeat and help create the syncopation and groove in your track or your patch. This is a great trick for experimentation if you are struggling to find a groove or rhythm within your track. Try experimenting with weird clock delays to see if you can get a nice syncopation in your track. This next trick is a way to spice up your subtractive synth voice with a bit of audio rate modulation. This patch is pretty simple. It is plats going through the WASP filter in a basic VCO, VCF, VCA configuration. The trick with this is to take a oscillating filter, which produces a clean sine wave, pass that through a VCA, and then use that to modulate a filter's cutoff. What I'm doing right here is I'm opening up the VCA so I get that classic yoy sound. And this can take a pretty unremarkable sequence and beef it up and make it a bit more aggressive. Obviously this sequence here is nothing to write home about, it's just a random sequence that I got out of the Kara module. But this is a trick I use all the time in my patches when I need the bass sound to have a bit more of that higher harmonic content and to stand out more in the mix. For this next trick, we're going to take the exact same patch and we're going to apply a negative offset to the filter frequency's cutoff, and that's going to push the filter into an LFO. This is a great way to add a bit of extra modulation to your system if you're like me and you have a bit of an addiction to voltage controlled filters. Before I had blades, I had the qubit tone, which was 4 channels of low-pass bandpass filters. And the bottom filter, or sometimes bottom 2 filters, were oftentimes used as LFOs or oscillators that I sent to as extra bits of modulation in my system. Even if they don't track volts per octave, filters oftentimes work great as extra modulation, whether audio rate or LFO. So experiment with your filters. Try putting offsets into their cutoff frequencies. Try messing with their resonance. So yeah, go ahead and give it a try. And those were the tricks. If they were useful to you, please like, share, subscribe. Do the thing that YouTube likes you to do. If you didn't enjoy this or it wasn't useful, please let me know also so I can improve and get better. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.